Hey there. So, in February 2022, President Putin did something pretty alarming. He put Russia's nuclear forces on special combat readiness and held big nuclear drills. And now, with his war against Ukraine dragging on and a loss looking likely, he's getting even more intense with his talk. U.S. intelligence thinks Putin is just trying to scare off the West from helping Ukraine, but some experts are worried that he might actually use a tactical nuclear weapon as a game changer in the conflict. Scary stuff, huh? What would actually ensue if Putin ordered a nuclear strike against Ukraine? 2 minutes before launch. As senior security personnel sit to discuss the war, President Putin declares that there is one path to victory. He reaches for his Cheget, a device that holds one of the 3 launch codes necessary to activate a nuclear missile. The Minister of Defense and Chief of the General Staff hold other 2. All 3 affirmations are needed to trigger an actual launch. The president looks around the room, and everyone goes silent as they realize what he is talking about. Scared of Putin, they all agree, save a few. The president enters the access codes, and the launch sequence begins. 1 minute to launch. The missile is launched from the silo in the Plzesk Cosmodrome, a Russian spaceport located in the northwest of the country. In a few seconds, the missile clears the silo and quickly accelerates to supersonic speed. The nuclear missile itself is an RS-24 Sarmat, a solid-fueled, mobile intercontinental ballistic missile, ICBM, developed by Russia. It has a range of up to 12,000 kilometers and can carry up to 4 nuclear warheads, with a total yield of 2.5 megatons. The RS-24 Sarmat missile pierces through the clouds with a thunderous roar and a bright flare that can be seen from miles away. As the missile soars into the sky, it leaves behind a blazing trail of fire and smoke that can be seen from miles away. The ground trembles beneath it, and the deafening roar of its engines echoes across the landscape, a testament to the destructive power it possesses. 15 seconds after launch. As the missile fires and leaves the ground, the advanced SBIRS's Space-Based Infrared System satellite detects its launch with its highly sensitive infrared sensors that pick up the massive heat signature of the missile's engine hundreds of miles away. Within seconds, the satellite sends the data to military command centers around the world, triggering alarms and emergency response protocols. To track the missile's trajectory, surveillance satellites equipped with high-resolution cameras are launched, including the KH-11 Keyhole satellite used by the United States and the Pleiades satellite used by France. The satellites capture detailed images of the missile's movement and provide information on its speed and direction of travel. 1 minute after launch. The satellite data is analyzed in real time by military analysts using advanced algorithms to predict the missile's path and potential impact zone. The U.S. and European or all nuclear governments go into high alert, unsure of the target. Military leaders assess their options and consider a preemptive strike against Russia, while emergency response teams prepare for the worst-case scenario. 2 minutes after launch. The U.S. and European governments work to assess the missile's payload. The missile is presumed to be a tactical nuclear weapon. As they are smaller and more targeted than strategic nuclear weapons, small tactical nuclear weapons can be as small as 1 kiloton or less, while the largest can be as big as 100 kilotons. By comparison, the atomic bomb the U.S. dropped on Hiroshima in 1945 was 15 kilotons. Strategic nuclear weapons are larger, up to 1,000 kilotons, and are launched from longer ranges. 3 minutes after launch. Within minutes, it becomes clear that the missile is on a direct course for Kiev, Ukraine, the country's seat of power. In Ukraine, sirens blare and people rush to find shelter. In the capital city of Kiev, the streets become chaotic as people stampede, trying to evacuate. The Ukrainian government activates its own emergency response teams, but they are overwhelmed as panic sets in. People rush to basements, subways, government offices, hoping to survive the impact. The anticipation is unbearable. Everyone is glued to the radios, TVs, and phones checking for updates. 4 minutes after launch. The Ukrainian government immediately activates its missile defense systems, including the advanced S-300 and S-400 systems, which have been deployed in strategic locations throughout the country. These systems are designed to detect and intercept incoming missiles, using advanced radar and anti-missile technology to destroy aerial threats in Ukrainian airspace. 5 minutes after launch. The Secretary-General of NATO calls for an emergency meeting of the North Atlantic Council, which is the organization's principal decision-making body. Leaders from the United States, Canada, France, Germany, and other member countries are in attendance, along with military officials and intelligence experts. The mood is tense, and there is a sense of urgency in the air as the leaders discuss their options for responding to the nuclear threat, and to President Zelensky's call for help. Some call for a show of force, while others advocate for diplomacy and negotiation. 6 minutes after launch. The U.S. and European military leaders assess the situation and decide to activate the Aegis defense system, which is located on a U.S. Navy destroyer stationed in the Black Sea. They also deploy the Ground-Based Mid-Course Defense (GMD) system, which is located in Alaska and California as a backup defense option. The Terminal High Altitude Area Defense (THAAD) system is also put on alert status, ready to provide additional support if needed. The U.S. and French fighter jets are scrambled from air bases in Romania and Poland to provide air support for the Aegis system. 8 minutes after launch, the Russian missile enters Ukrainian airspace and is only minutes away from the intended target. The Aegis system locks onto the incoming missile and launches a barrage of countermeasures. The Aegis system launches its missile interceptors, and the THAAD system also launches its own interceptors. The U.S. and French fighter jets watch from far, ready to act as a last line of defense. The missile interceptors close in on the Russian missile. The first barrage hits the rocket fragments and other decoys. The Aegis and THAAD interceptors hit the incoming missile just as it starts nosediving towards Kiev. 9 minutes after launch. As the debris falls, the U.S. and European governments assess the potential fallout from the explosion. Tactical nuclear weapons are designed to have a small blast radius and minimal radioactive fallout, but the aerial explosion increases risks of widespread contamination. The U.S. and European governments immediately dispatch teams to the area and assess any potential fallout and take appropriate measures to protect the population. 10 minutes after launch. News of the nuclear attack on Ukraine spreads. Global leaders express their outrage and condemn Russia's actions. The United States, the European Union, and NATO issue strong statements denouncing the attack and warning Russia of severe consequences. The United Nations Security Council holds an emergency meeting and issues a resolution condemning the attack and calling for Russia to be held accountable for its actions. The resolution is backed by severe economic sanctions, including freezing Russia's assets and banning all trade with the country. 20 minutes after launch. China, a longtime ally of Russia, denounces the attack and expresses its support for Ukraine. The move surprises many, but China makes it clear that it does not condone the use of nuclear weapons and calls for a peaceful resolution to the conflict. In response to the attack, NATO moves its military assets into battle readiness and announces that any attack on a member country would be considered an attack on all. The alliance makes it clear that swift and decisive action would be taken in response to any further aggression from Russia. The incident serves as a stark reminder of the dangers posed by nuclear weapons, highlighting the needs for continued efforts towards disarmament and non-proliferation. The catastrophic consequences of a real-life scenario would be devastating, ranging from climate and food impacts to global peace destabilization. A diplomatic resolution to conflicts like these is crucial for preventing such disasters, and it is imperative that rational minds prevail. Did you find this video enjoyable? Check out our other videos and don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share with your friends.
This is The Intelligence Show.